Hey V's, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we are making this really lovely conditioning hair balm. It smells so good. So the inspiration for this recipe is actually an updated version of one of the first recipes I ever released on my blog, which was my super nourishing hair balm. And so I still really like that recipe. People still make it and leave lovely comments about the results, but I was looking at it and thinking like, hey, I've learned a lot since 2011, I think, when I put that recipe out, maybe early 2012. And I bet I can do better. And so that's where this came from. So hair balm version 1 was a blend of a lot of soft and liquid oils thickened with beeswax to make a pretty firm hair balm that you could just get a little bit on your fingers and then work through the ends of your hair. And I would usually use a boar bristle brush to really thoroughly brush it through and distribute. Just a very small amount of oils can make my hair look really dirty, so I would get just the tiniest amount, like an imperceptible amount on my fingers where you could feel it on your fingers but not really see it, and then work that through and brush it through, and it would leave the ends of my hair all lovely and happy and sort of bring them back to life. And so I would say some of the weaknesses of that recipe, the first one would be the size of the recipe. It was a massive recipe, and I never came anywhere close to finishing the tin before it went rancid. So I scaled this one way back. And then it used a lot of ingredients, a lot of different carrier oils and things, because I had a ton of them at the time. And even like now, I actually don't have all of those carrier oils anymore. I've thinned my collection out as I've learned more about what I do and don't use. So I've tried to reduce the amount of oils and choose them a little bit smarter. And then I've added a little bit of tech in the form of some BTMS. We actually have some cationic ingredients. We've got some proper conditioning in there, which I think really steps it up a notch. And then kind of last but not least, instead of thickening it just with beeswax, I've done it with a blend of beeswax, stearic acid, and cetyl alcohol. So it's still firm, but it's much silkier, which I think is just a really lovely upgrade. Because this is all oil-based, it's really easy to make. We just sort of melt the ingredients that need to be melted, and then once we remove them from the heat, stir as it cools. This helps keep the shea butter that's in there from going grainy. I don't find that you need an ice bath for this one, for that trick, because the beeswax in it helps it set up fast enough that an ice bath would actually sort of be like, really hitting the accelerator and go a little too fast. And once we've got it cooled down a bit, we add our cool down ingredients and then stir, and then pop it in our tin and let it set up. And you will kind of look at it and you will think, this is not going to get hard enough. And then voila, it does. And it's got this lovely, firm, super smooth, glassy consistency to it, and it smells amazing. Have I said that yet? It smells amazing. As always, if you want to learn more about this recipe, please go down to the description box, click through to it on the blog, or just go to humblebeeandme.com and search for the recipe name, and it'll pop right up. And there you can sort of read a lot about the recipe. I tend to write more about why I chose different ingredients there because people complain about my videos being too long. And then there's links to all of the ingredients and information on scaling and substitutions. And I'll also throw a link to the original. So if you want to take a look at the original, and there is a video for that one kicking around too as well. So yeah, I think definitely worth some things checking out down there, yes. But yeah, let's go make some awesome hair balm. We'll begin by combining our heated ingredients in a small glass beaker. So I'll need 2.5 grams of BTMS 50, 2.5 grams of shea butter, 2.5 grams of coconut oil, 1.25 grams cetyl alcohol, 3 grams stearic acid, 1.25 grams beeswax, 7.5 grams camellia seed oil, and 4.125 grams jojoba oil. Now, to melt this together, we could do it in a water bath, but I find that BTMS 50 never fully melts for me in a water bath, so I'm just going to do this in the microwave. So I'm going to do this in about 10-second bursts in the microwave, stirring in between until I have a transparent liquid. All right, here we go, all melty. So now we want to stir this until it cools down enough to gain some viscosity. And this will happen reasonably quickly because of the beeswax content, so make sure you're scraping down the sides of your beaker because the bits that splash up will harden faster, and then you can kind of collect them on the edge of your spatula and work them back in. So you could do this in maybe a cold water bath, but I probably wouldn't do it in an ice water bath because with the beeswax in there, I think things would just move along a little too fast for us, unless maybe you had a much larger batch than this, but this is just a 25 gram batch, so I find that it cools down pretty quickly on its own. You can see it's already becoming cloudy, and it's only been maybe like a minute. Okay, so this has gained some nice viscosity now, and the outside of the beaker's not really hot. I did definitely leave this maybe for like a minute at a time, mostly just to go check on my dog, without stirring, to give it a chance to sort of continue to cool, and it didn't seize up or anything, so don't feel like you have to stir it continuously once it's become a bit cloudy. But now we're going to add our cool down ingredients. We'll fire up this little scale here, which is precise to 2 decimal points. We need 0.125 grams of vitamin E. And for our essential oils, we're doing a combination of benzoin and labdanum, which smells absolutely amazing. So we're going to do 0.5% of each. So that's a total of 0.25 grams, so 0.125 grams of each. I'd like this to be a little bit cooler and a little bit thicker before we package it, but we can take a look at our packaging now. So I'm just going to use a 1 ounce tin, and this one has a screw top. So, when you're looking at this consistency, it might be sort of easy to think, oh goodness, like this is never actually going to thicken up to something really firm. I know that's kind of what I thought when I was developing the recipe. I was like, oh no, I've blown it. I should have used, more wax or more stearic acid, and then it set up and I was like, oh bam, hey, that's actually exactly what I wanted. So fear not, it will set up. So I'm going to pour this in here now. You can see it's got some body to it, and it'll kind of, drizzle really nicely. Sort of tap to settle it down since it has enough body to sort of stand up, and then I'm going to go put this in the fridge to fully set up. All right, so I put this in the fridge for about 20 minutes to help it set up, and then pulled it out for about an hour to let it kind of come back to room temperature. So we're at full hardness. That sucker's not going anywhere. And I thought I'd show you the consistency on the one I've sort of already adopted for personal use, because I'm going to gift that one, and they'd probably appreciate it if it hadn't been manhandled by me. But you can see I'm rubbing that with a pretty firm finger, and it's got good glide. That is more product than I would use, honestly. Like I would be sort of in like that. That's about how much product I would use. Very, very, very little. But yeah, you can see this is really easy to make, and it's just gorgeous. I'm so pleased with this updated version of this recipe. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Do remember to check out the blog post. I've really gone through and detailed why I made a lot of the changes that I made, based on things that I've learned over the years. So I think it's pretty useful reading. But yeah, thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.